Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's Dealer On webinar, New Year, New Plan, the top digital marketing strategies for 2015. My name is Eliana Raggio and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealer On. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealer On, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency. And we're best known for our amazing search engine optimization, the absolute best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the brand new Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that DealerOn is still the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads or your money back? Yeah, well, maybe you should check us out at our gorgeous brand new DealerOn website at dealeron.com. Also want to let you know that DealerOn will be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming NADA convention in San Francisco later this month. So if you're going to be there, well, you got to stop by booth 5552W, that's 5552 West, and say hi. I'm going to be there. I'd love to meet you. We seriously, best booth around while you're getting your NADA on. Please check out the speaking sessions from these amazing DealerOn executives. I hope to see you there. Also, our friends at Force Marketing will also be exhibiting at NADA, so don't forget to stop by their booth too and get a complete multi-channel marketing analysis for free. That's right. They're right around the corner from us at booth 5428W. That's 5428 West, and it's going to be a great time. We hope we see you there. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have not one, but two experts here from Force Marketing. First, Eric Mercado is the Vice President of Business Development at Force Marketing, one of the nation's most successful vertical marketing agencies, and recognized the last 6 years in a row on Inc. magazine's 5,000 fastest growing private companies in America. Most recently, Force is also on the list of Atlanta's 100 fastest growing businesses. The firm's clients include a wide range of dealers from single store owners to automotive groups that service upwards of 200 stores, including AutoNation, the largest U.S. automotive retailer. The firm also conducts direct mail and digital marketing campaigns both nationally and regionally for General Motors, American Honda Motor Company, and Kia Motors America, just to name a few. Eric is an avid traveler, and he can be reached at forcemktg.com. Joining Eric Mercado, and to provide even more information and insight, will be Force Marketing Senior E-Commerce Strategy Director, Nick Sabella, who oversees the digital department, working closely with his team to deliver a unique integration of traditional and data-driven digital media to clients that generate more sales, leads, and service appointments. His email is nick@forcemktg.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. And please also indicate which speaker you'd like me to address the question to. At the end of the presentation, we're going to answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to try and respond to you by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And guess what? Oh, our good friends at Force Marketing, they are giving away a great prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to be winning a Windows tablet. You heard me. It's a great prize for your dealership to use on your showroom floor. This prize is valued at $300, but you have to be on the live broadcast to win it. So stay tuned, and you could be the one walking away with this amazing prize today. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey, so fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn. A new year, a new plan, the top digital marketing strategies for 2015. First, let's start off with Eric. Eric, how are you today, my friend?
Fantastic. How are you, Eliana?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much. And Nick, where are you, babe?
I am here.
All right. I'm so glad you two are here, and what a great topic you two have picked. Timely nonetheless, but still, I fear that there's a lot of dealerships out there who think that what they were doing as recently as just last year, but certainly they don't change their marketing plan sometimes for 2 or 3 years. They think that it still is going to work, but man, the internet is changing so quickly. So thank you so much for picking this topic, and I'd love to hear more about what you guys are going to talk about today. Who wants to take it over? Eric?
Yeah, sure, I'll run with it. Some of the things that we're going to cover today for the audience are programmatic advertising and how it's closely linked to the automotive industry, and just in general, a more sophisticated way to reduce digital costs in 2015. We're also going to cover some digital strategies to consider now for 2015 that will definitely help yield better results later in the year based off some seasonal trends and statistics that we monitor with our own client base with dealerships that are represented across the country. And then we're going to end with general marketing tips that will hopefully create a consistent message for any dealership's prospective market, increase sales, and obviously customer retention being the end game. And then we're going to allow you to take some questions from the audience and hopefully be able to give them answers that will help move forward.
Wow, that all sounds great. And audience, please don't be shy with your questions. And also, if you're going to tweet out or Facebook out or anything like that, anything about today's webinar, we would love it. Please tag me in it. I'm at Eliana Raggio, #DealerOnWebby, and of course we also have @Force Marketing. We'd love to see what you come up with. Thank you so much. Okay, Eric, take it away.
Thank you, Eliana. You're a great hype woman. If I was ever a comedian, I'd want you to be the person on stage right before me, but in my previous lifetime. One of the things, and a very common theme that you're going to see with regard to our presentation, is that there's always a much smarter way to advertise today. And we want to point out some of those ways. I'm sure most people are familiar with the term work smarter, not harder. And now more than ever, dealers are able to do this just through utilizing data points that are, for the most part, within the dealership, within an arm's length. Data drives efficiency. And in advertising, now more than ever, the more efficient your advertising is, obviously the lower costs, and the lower the costs, obviously the better the ROI. So it's very cyclical, and we want to make sure that dealers understand that there is a way to reduce costs, to really hyper-focus on the markets they're going after with valid messaging. Data, including your DMS, CRMs, third-party providers like Dadium and IHS Polk, can really help identify the exact prospect that you want to go after in your market, whatever the channel that you're marketing through is, and you can utilize that in a big way. A second theme that you're going to see and you're going to hear is that there's no one consumer path to purchase. I've sat through thousands of presentations now in my 9th year here, and I've noticed that every single company tries to identify an exact path to purchase with a consumer, and realistically, there is no one path to purchase. There are so many different channels that consumers engage media through. They each have their own independent path to purchase most times. So since they're shopping in a variety of different channels, how come we're not focusing on getting our message across all channels to consumers? We need to focus our advertising efforts on a consistent creative message and value proposition through all the channels to make more sense for any consumer that's engaging with our medium. Some of the most transparent channels that you can actually do this through and that we found to be the best offers for our clients are obviously SEM, SEO, making sure that everything's organically optimized on their sites, email marketing, direct mail marketing, custom personal URLs or landing pages, display advertising, retargeting, and video pre-roll, whether it be programmatic or standard. You should partner with a company in 2015 or as few companies in 2015 as you possibly can that can provide these services and are willing to work with each other. That way, every message you send out is engaged and consumed with the same value proposition. So one of the things we're going to start with, and just to circle back, is what is programmatic advertising? It's a tongue twister, so I apologize. I may screw that up a couple more times. But this being my 3rd webinar on this particular product, after I leave, I typically get the same questions back from my dealers. Well, it's great. You covered a lot of great bases, and I see why it makes sense, but how does it relate to the automotive industry? So that's something that we're definitely going to cover, and then we're going to actually provide some of the best networks and platforms that auto groups and dealerships can utilize to efficiently programmatic advertise. By definition, programmatic advertising is a systematic method of purchasing and dynamically serving the right ads to the right customers at the right time through a software or computer. Basically, it's using technology to accurately funnel your ads in the most efficient manner to capture auto intenders in your target markets. An auto intender, by definition, is someone who has exhibited online shopping behavior or has exact demographics that show that they are much higher propensity to buy right now or in the near future than the rest of the market and the rest of the captive audience that you'd be going for. So what programmatic advertising allows us to do is to be able to systematically target these consumers at the right time with the right creative message. The way programmatic advertising is able to do this is through a system called real-time bidding, or referred to as RTB. And similar to the growth of demand in the stock market, the growth of demand in the display market has reached a near bursting point, and it's necessitated like a birth of real-time bidding. And RTB came about because the amount of inventory simply got way too large to manage manually for any one marketing rep or team of marketing reps to be able to efficiently market at the right time to the right customers. So because the demand is constantly fluctuating in the display market, the price it takes or the placement of your ad is also constantly fluctuating. So RTB alleviates a lot of the pressure put on marketers to try to hit price points by placing your ads within milliseconds after a customer that you're trying to target visits one of the sites or ad networks that you're sponsored on. So it's a great way to reach the right customer at the right time. And just like RTB automated the stock trading programs, it basically has done the same thing with automotive, and it removes a lot of the guesswork involved in placing ads because you can set it and forget it. And anything that you can automate with regards to advertising that also is pinpointing the right message to the right consumer is obviously an efficient way to market. I don't want to just talk about how great it is and what it's done for our current clients, but I want to talk about the industry in general, whether it be retail, whether it be automotive, and the current spends aligned with programmatic advertising in the United States. And this is in billions. This is not millions, in billions. Since 2013, year over year, programmatic advertising has doubled at a minimum. And what you're going to see is predictions put in place by Statista and companies like eMarketer have come around and said by 2017, the next prediction is that it's going to double again to about $9 billion. The reason why this is important for dealers is because dealers currently attribute about 14% of programmatic ad spend. So we assume, and by predictions, if you just stay parallel with the current percentages of attribution, you're going to be 14% of $9 billion. So obviously this is a growing medium with a large space for growth and a predicted space for growth. We want to make sure that dealerships stay in line with their current spend and increase their programmatic efforts to make their marketing process more efficient. What's more are things like demand-side platforms, or what we refer to as DSPs, that can leverage first and third-party data sets to build profiles of consumers behind each impression that we send out. The ad creative is most likely going to resonate with a customer if it's targeting that customer based off of a set of demographics or online buying behavior that we've already aggregated beforehand. So basically, what we're saying is programmatic advertising has the ability to target, and excuse me for my example, hopefully it doesn't offend anybody, but a suburban mom might go online and see a pre-roll video or display ad for minivans, while a much wealthier urban man may see the same type of video featuring a sports car. It's going to be relevant content to that consumer based off of where they at right now in their search habits. Another study done by eMarketer basically shows that the next 3 years we are expected to oversight the $9 billion prediction. And that's kind of like a rough estimate, and we're basically lowballing that figure. So we're thinking $9 billion at min is going to be the spend United States-wide on programmatic advertising. So obviously, automotive, it takes a large portion of any type of advertising space, especially with a multi-channel approach. You want to make sure that you are where your customers are. So to further that statistic, we want to really dial into where we've seen the most effective increase in traffic and the best ROI for our current clients' programmatic ad spend, and that's been the way of video. And I think one of the key components, the reason why video is such a big element of programmatic ad spend and is so efficient, is because online display and video consumption are at an all-time high right now in the United States. The United States internet users alone view over 20 billion online ads per month. That's billion with a B. So again, the whole point of marketing is to be where your customers are. If you can effectively target the right customer who's got searching habits that says he might be in the market for a truck with a Silverado ad, it's going to be much more effective if you can do it at the zero moment of truth, exactly when that customer is ready to view that. And programmatic video allows us to do that, and these platforms that we utilize to get there. 2/3 of the current U.S. population views videos online every month, and many have kind of replaced their current shopping trends or shopping habits to, we used to use the term window shopping, where you may go to a dealership. I've heard dealers refer to it as tire kicking and take demos and not necessarily ready to buy, with literally screen tablet shopping. I mean, we don't necessarily look at window shopping the same way anymore. Consumers have all that information, all the resources online now to be able to see all the data that they need from their computer, their mobile phone, their tablet, from their own couch, rather than having the uncomfortable feeling of having to go to a dealership, sit in front face-to-face with a salesperson, engage, get negotiated, and kind of feel no matter how, what the deal pans out to, they really didn't win. I can go online right now and I can identify 10 of the, the nearest dealerships in my market that all have Toyota 4Runners, what the price points are, okay, which packages I want, how long it's been on the, in the floor plan, and really just by, using the Google machine, identify what's the best time to buy, and then pinpoint that to one dealership that I want to visit to get the deal done. And that's just not something that I want to point out from self-reflection, but the industry in general has changed in a big way, to where consumers that in 2012 that used to go visit up to 7 dealerships before making their buying decision, in just 3 short years, or in fact 2 short years, that trend has changed dramatically to where the average consumer only visits 1.2 dealerships per buying decision throughout the buying process, because they've done their research ahead of time. So programmatic video allows us to target those consumers at the right point. I touched on zero moment of truth, or what's referred to as ZMOT, a little earlier. And one of the things that this graphic is meant to portray is the fact that we're not saying that every medium is not efficient other than digital marketing or direct marketing. But what we are saying is even the consumers that are watching television or listening to the radio, 86% of them to be intact actually are still using smartphone or tablet applications while they're actually watching shows or listening to the radio. So for that to be a statistic, that tells you that it is still efficient to incorporate pre-roll video and programmatic advertising into your marketing plan, even if you have a television campaign in place or a traditional media campaign in place. This study was done by Nielsen, which is a very, very viable source of data. So we want to make sure that we're being, again, be where the buyers are. Keep that reference in mind. If you can do that, I think you're going to be efficient in 2015. Different channels that consumers are engaging with while they're watching television, while they're they're doing their daily activities, and the most responsive and actually the most effective ones that we've seen happen to be pre-roll video. I've touched on that a few different times. Social games that you can incorporate into Facebook and social advertising, display advertising, mobile advertising, and what the industry refers to as IPTV, which is basically Internet Protocol Television. You would refer to it as Netflix or Hulu. And those seem to be where we're seeing the biggest impact for our own current clients and the biggest consumption rates as far as how people are viewing the ads that we develop for our clients. So we obviously want to point that out as these are the go-tos for your programmatic ad spends. I wish that we could tell you that we were the ones who developed the technology and the platform that engines these ad plans, but we're not. We are the marketing team that basically backs it with the strong creative and the targeted messages. And what we've seen over the last 4 months, we've conducted a study of all of our digital clients that are engaged in programmatic ad spend. And what we've seen is that these 3 platforms and providers seem to be the top 3. So, one of the questions I always get is, how do I get started when I'm actually in a presentation? How do we get started with this immediately? And the answer that I would love to give every time is, hey, just, let's go. Let me sign a contract. But again, we are not the engine that provides this particular marketing team, but we are the marketing team that puts the right message in place. So without the marketing, the engine's no good. Without the engine, the marketing's no good. Aligning yourself with a company that can effectively market through these different platforms should be a core goal of yours in a very short period of time. These platforms have lifted our clients' valuable clicks by an average of 26% across all of our clients who are engaged in programmatic advertising. They reduced our bounce rates once consumers actually click through and visit a site by as much as 33% on average. And they've increased the length of the average visit to the dealership by 91%. Those three metrics alone should identify why programmatic advertising needs to be a bigger part of your ad spend in 2015. Because the whole point of digital marketing, the whole point of online advertising and pre-roll video is to get consumers to engage with the video, click through, visit the site, and then stay for a while to gather as much information they can to make an educated decision with your dealership or dealerships. So these particular platforms help us do that in a big way. But again, without the appropriate marketing message, they're completely useless. So let's keep that in mind. I really wanted to cover all those bases for programmatic advertising because I really feel like it is something, it's kind of like the gluten of conversation. Like, a lot of people know what it is. But no one really, a lot of people know about it, but no one really knows what it is or how it can affect them.
Gluten,
so I want to
really?
Talk about that.
You went there?
What did you say?
Gluten, really?
Yeah, I mean, my wife, she's all about gluten now, and I had to take it out of the diet, so I had to reflect on that. But at first I didn't know what it was. She said, "Take gluten out your diet." I said, "Sure, let's take it out." And later on, I'm figuring out that I can't eat 95% of the things that I really love. So maybe that's not the best reference, but it worked for me. And again, that's how I feel about programmatic advertising. Most of the dealers we talk to don't know what it is or how effective it is for their current marketing, but it needs to be a big part of their plan in 2015. It needs to be in a big way, and it needs to be incorporated immediately. So that's pretty much what I have to cover that basis.
Okay, Eric.
I'm going to be turning everything over to Nick, but I believe before then.
Wait. Wait, go back. We have a question for you, Eric.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, first question came in from Joe. He says, what does MOM mean? It says 8% increase in site traffic, MOM.
Month over month.
Month over month. See, I didn't know that either. Okay, and Bernadette wrote in, she said, could you please give me a short definition of programmatic advertising again?
No worries. Programmatic advertising, by definition, let's just... Programmatic advertising is a systematic method of purchasing and dynamically serving the right ads online to the right customers at the right time through a software. I actually had a slide that I kind of breezed through at the beginning, but basically it's an automated software that is able to distribute the right messages to very, very hyper-targeted consumers at the right time online via display and pre-roll. And it does it much more faster and efficiently, almost at a finger snap away from a traditional way of doing it, which would be like an RFP, or some human person doing it. As opposed to that, it's an actual automated system that does it.
Ah.
So it's a much faster way to advertise online via display.
Deliver the ads to the right person at the right time. Got it.
Thanks for finishing my statement. Very good.
Well, I always tell you, if you can make me understand it, then you're good. So thank you so much, Bernadette. Great question. We're going to hold most of your questions till the very, very end, of course. But thank you. Please send in those questions. And yeah, let's get to that poll question if you're ready, Eric.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, audience, we need your help. Our first of two poll questions is on the screen now. We want to know what's happening in your dealership. How many digital marketing vendors do you currently use to make up your digital footprint? Now, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're talking everything. So we're talking SEO, retargeting, your website, pay-per-click, anything that has to do with digital marketing, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I'm even including the production hubs that build out your pre-roll video or your display ads. Anybody who's in the process of executing anything that's online for you.
Got you. So we want to know.
What does that framework look like?
Yeah, we want to know how many different vendors are you using in order to get your digital footprint out there and into the webosphere. So please select one of the following. Is it 1 to 3 vendors, 4 to 6 vendors, 7 to 9 vendors, or is it more than 10 vendors? And of course, we have the standard, I got no idea. So once we get a majority of those votes in, we're going to close this poll, share the results, and then you're going to know what everyone else is doing at their dealership too. So the question again is, how many digital marketing vendors do you currently use to make up your digital footprint at your dealership? 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, more than 10, or you know, you're just taking a guess, you really don't know. Actually, we do have a question for you, Eric. Chip wrote in, he says, does this or does this not include third parties like Cars.com and AutoTrader?
Are you talking the poll?
Yes.
The poll question?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, it does?
It does include third-party lead providers.
It does include third-party lead providers. All right, Chip, I hope that helps you out.
Any lead sources that are generated online, it would include those.
Okay. Oh, we have a few people that wrote in, oh, I answered wrong then. Okay, well, don't worry about it. It's just a poll question. All right, well, thank you so much for asking that, and let's close this poll and share the results. Eric, Nick, you ready for this?
Ready.
Go.
All
right, let's go. All right, audience, 38%, the majority of today's audience, said that they only use 1 to 3 vendors. 33%, so a third of today's audience, said it's more like 4 to 6 vendors. 8% of today's audience said they use 7 to 9 vendors. 11% said that they use 10 or more vendors to get their digital footprint out there. And a tenth of today's audience, 10%, said they have no idea. Eric, is that what you wanted to, is that what you were kind of thinking was going to happen?
Yeah, it's a little bit off. I mean, I think when we threw in some of the third-party sources, it kind of add reflection to some of the answers that were given. But at the end of the day, it's still somewhat in line with what we expected. The answer is not necessarily, one. And that's kind of where we're going with this. So I do appreciate the feedback from the audience. And I think now I'm actually going to turn it over to Nick. And Nick Sabella has a phenomenal resume. He's been in the industry for a very long time. Don't misjudge his youthful picture. He's worked for Ford directly. He's worked for 90-plus dealership auto groups, building the framework of their internal digital marketing department. So he was a great pickup for Force. He's like Cleveland picking up LeBron. We really wanted him here, and we went and got him. And now he's put some strategies in place that have just catapulted our results for our clients. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick, and Nick's going to go over digital strategies for 2015, and I'll let him start.
Yeah, I'm excited. So today I want to go over 3 unfair advantages that dealers can use for their digital marketing today that don't cost anything additional. So this is going to drive more digital revenue for them. It adds more transparency and really increases the accountability of everything that they're doing. So the first thing, and I think this is a huge key that most dealers miss, is quality score. So quality score is kind of this secret but very important metric that Google and Bing both use in terms of how to determine how much you pay for traffic to the site. And in its simplest form, it really represents what people are searching for versus the relevance of the content that is arriving there. So there's a key question facing dealers. And that question is, do you want to spend 400% more getting that same visitor or 80% less than your competition? And it's really simple to actually improve the effectiveness of these. You just have to build some really relevant content in terms of landing pages around there. So the average difference across 100 dealers for us is about $700. So when we ran this across 100 of our dealers to find out how much money that they could actually save, we found an average savings of $700 within their current marketing there simply by building out very relevant content. So I think the second piece of that, or the natural evolution, is how do you capture consumer interest? So when looking at consumer interest, we actually did a study across Audi in this instance and said, at what point do people start looking for the upcoming model year versus the current? And at what point do those crossroads actually exchange? So what we found is in Q2, consumer interest begins building, and people start looking for those specific models. But it's not until Q4 where they can really go buy and experience and drive those vehicles where it officially changes. But I think one of the things that's worth considering is, because of the way quality score works, how long your content has been there matters. So by getting a 3-month head start and starting that content build up right now, it'll be less expensive for you to capture those consumers when they begin looking. And by the time they actually begin buying, you'll be the dominant force within the market. So I think that that is a really important piece that dealers need to look at and consider within their marketing. Now, something really interesting happens in cases of a major model redesign. So if there's something that's completely changing a core model's appearance, it's really exciting because 2 times as many people look for the current year, the one that's not even redesigned yet, and 3 times as many people look for the new one. And that happens 3 months before it typically does. So instead of Q4, that happens in Q3. So that means dealers have a choice. They can pay 2 to 3 times as much to capture those same consumers, or begin thinking about this and building it, and take advantage of that momentum by building very relevant content around their entire marketing, and save money in search engine marketing and absolutely dominate those opportunities within their marketplace itself. So the keys here are really to launch SEO campaigns or think about that relevant content at least 3 months beforehand and get that on your site now. Because as people's behavior begins to match that in about 3 months, you will be that authority already, and it's going to cost you significantly less. I mean, if you look at just the underperforming paid search keywords, by their quality score, it could save you about 480% in terms of the effectiveness of your marketing. So that's a really important piece. I think that would be the second area of opportunity for dealers. And then the third is really looking at kind of a ubiquitous question that I hear very often. I heard this when I was on the dealer group side with 90-plus stores. I've heard this from the agency side, and really I even heard it at Ford to some degree. And that is, why am I getting so many service calls for my paid search sales campaigns? And it drives dealers crazy. It really drove me crazy, for that matter. But it's a great question, because at a very high level, intuitively we would think it's because my digital marketing provider is poorly optimized, is cheating me out of my money, is trying to make the results look better. And we definitely found a slight efficiency in terms of updating ad copy, so it was clear whether you're going to sales or service. Or structuring that campaign so it was highly targeted to those 2 different shopping behaviors. But at the end of the day, we also found that people that knew and loved the dealership or were looking on a regional basis, on average, did go towards service. And those are still very qualified shoppers, but given a set amount of money, how do we drive more revenue to a dealership? And that's where this tracking, this is where big data and more transparency really comes into play. So where that comes into play is, by keyword, we can tell exactly what people are converting by a lead and what people are calling. So that means I can say, for example, that people looking for a Ford F-150 versus a Ford Fusion are spending more money in fixed operations. So while I can't eliminate that, even though those are sales-related terms to a store's perspective, I can at least send you more revenue, or people that are spending more money within your service drive, within your current marketing mix. And I think that's huge. And what we really find is that new sales drives used sales drives fixed operations, and fixed operations drives both of those. And by highlighting those that generate the most revenue, we make a huge efficiency. And when combined with quality score, that's huge. It's critical. But even all of that together, at the end of the day, it's just data. So I think one of the challenges and one of the opportunities for many of the internet teams out there is to bring all of their data in one place. So whether that's your organic, your search engine optimization, your paid search, your email, your retargeting, your display, your programmatic video, lot links, auto trader, cars, you should use Google Analytics. Because if you have a website provider, you can get Google Analytics on there. It's probably already on there. And it's a 5-minute update that any provider can do that will allow you to see something like this. So by source, you can see exactly how many people are converting, what they're doing on your site. Are they coming and leaving? Are they going to multiple pages? How long are they staying? And then set up customized goals. You'll see a few examples of ours, whether that's a vehicle detail page view, printed coupon, hours and directions, whatever those are all measured in one place. So you have a single sheet of music to gauge and measure everyone effectively. So to close that out, the real questions here are you using big data to drive your marketing decisions? Are you using the transparent and large amounts of data to really drive more revenue within your current spend? And is that spend most efficient? And then also, are you considering how to capture proactively those consumer interests, consumer trends based off what we already know? And if you do those three things, I should say, really well, you'll have an unfair advantage in 2015 and well beyond as well. So with that, I think we had another poll question.
Yes, we do. All right, audience. We want to know your second of two poll questions, your final poll question, is on the screen now. We want to know how many digital marketing reports do you look at each month? Please select one of the following answers. Is it 1 to 3 reports, 4 to 6 reports, 7 to 9 reports, more than 10, or I have no idea? Once we get a majority of those votes in, we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. How many digital marketing reports do you look at each month? 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9, more than 10, and I have no idea. And Nick, I was going to say, you know Eric better than I do. Does he use metaphors a lot? Because he did the gluten thing, and then he compared you to LeBron James. Not a bad comparison, I might add. I liked it. I liked it. I think that's the first time anyone ever mentioned LeBron James on my, oh, and gluten. I don't think anyone's ever mentioned gluten on one of my webinars before either, so.
Throwing you guys for a loop.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. It's good. All right, audience. Thank you so much for your votes. I love it when you guys get involved. I love when you vote. It makes this much more interactive, and of course, we really appreciate your answers. Here we go, everyone. Eric, Nick, you ready?
Ready.
Ready. Okay, here we go. Closing this poll now and sharing it. Okay, so 30% of today's audience said that it's 1 to 3 reports. 4 to 6 reports goes to 34% of today's audience. 7 to 9 reports is what 11% of today's audience say that they look at. 19% of today's audience said that they look at more than 10 reports, and 6% said they have no idea.
That's good.
Yeah, this is great insight. In fact, I'm glad it came out that way because one of the things that we're firm believers is centralizing this all in one place in data that the dealers themselves own. So I think one of the questions that is often brought up after the fact is, who owns this data? How do I see what's really happening? And we see here, really, you're not sure because you're getting it from 3 to 4 sources, sometimes more than that, even when you sometimes have 1 to 2 vendors. So you're getting more reports than you have providers. The great news is everybody has Google Analytics, and this is a really easy thing to set up. So we often find that there's a level of authenticity, trust, and expertise that we can build with dealers, regardless of whether or not they're using us, but especially when they're using us, just to measure everything equally. And then from that, we can take a look at the multi-channel mix and make really intelligent suggestions based on what's happening in their store today. And then whether we work with them for a year, 10 years, or a month, they always have that data that they can look back on and reflect and see the exact successes and opportunities within what they're doing.
So earlier when Eric asked how many vendors do we use, and then you asked how many reports do you look at, I mean, what is the right answer? I mean, should we be using less vendors so we have less reports, or should we be using more vendors?
You hit the nail right on the head with your first one. Less vendors equals better efficiency. Less reports, more centralized reporting equals better efficiency. I don't, a lot of the times when you have so many different vendors, the vendors themselves are all competing with each other for your marketing dollars. So really at the end of the day, you have to look at it as like, does everybody truly have my best interest in mind as a client? Well, they do, and they may for their one medium because they want the most they can get so they can increase the results the best for their one traditional medium. So what ends up happening is you have all these people fighting for your marketing dollars, right? Excuse me. And what ends up happening is the messages are all convoluted because they don't want to work together to make your results the best. They don't want to make sure that one hand scratches the other one's back, and one other hand scratches their back, because they're competing. Okay, when you eliminate those vendors and try to place more of your mediums onto the hands of your current vendors and allow them to do everything themselves, what ends up happening is their interests are truly aligned with the clients. Their interests then fall into the play of, we want to make sure our clients are getting the best results. Because I'm getting more of the budget regardless, now I'm just going to segment the budget to where it's going to yield the best results, not to where I'm going to make the most money as a provider. So you kind of get to where we're going at with that. We want to make sure that dealers know I can look at 1 to 3 reports on a monthly basis that can give me all the metrics and analytics that I need to truly identify what my advertising ROI is. So why would you then go and look at 6 to 10? Okay? And by the way, 6 to 10 people, 6 to 10 reports from 6 to 10 different companies that do not want the other company to have any portion of your marketing dollars. So there's a disconnect there. And I know Dealer On has mentioned this to us in previous conventions and whatnot, that there's a true disconnect when they're just trying to get content for some of the digital marketing companies that they work with, and the digital marketing companies won't provide them the content because they feel like they're a competitor, and then they can't properly optimize the dealership's website and link it accordingly. So there's literally, it's a slippery slope when you're working with, more than a handful of vendors. So that's actually one of the tips that I want to go over in the back end of this presentation.
I'm sorry. Did I ruin your surprise?
No, not at all. You're engaged, and hopefully customers or audience is asking themselves the same questions, and that's the whole point of this. It's kind of I would love the back and forth. I prefer that setting anyways. But 2015 marketing. Okay, the SAR reports and estimates that 17 million vehicles will be sold in 2015. 17 million. Okay, what are you doing as a dealership or an auto group or a marketing manager to assure that you get your share? Some of my sales team will come with us and they'll say, I just talked to this guy, and a month ago I was talking to the previous GM or the owner, and he said he really wanted to strategize the marketing plan, make it all multi-channel, make sure there was creative alignment. And then I got to the GM and he says, I'm going to stick with my current marketing plan because I'm just comfortable with it. Well, we all know that if you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results, okay? And if you had a record year by light years of 2014 and you said, you know what, I don't want to change a thing going into 2015, then I guess I applaud you for your dedication. But I can tell you that some things are going to have to change, and sometimes it's just the small things that make big differences. Another thing that I heard the other day on a conference call is literally, and this was from a 20-plus dealer group, it said, planning ahead is too much work. This is the marketing manager of a 20-plus dealer group. I'll wait to see what I sell this month to figure out how I'm going to market next month. You're already putting yourself way behind your competition, regardless if you're one store or you're 101 stores, regardless if you're ABC Nissan or you're AutoNation. If you're planning based off of last month's results of what you're going to do this month, you're literally behind the ball and behind the competition. And there's no way, whether you're using one vendor or you're using 21 vendors for your marketing, whether it's traditional mediums and digital mediums and direct mediums, there's no way that any one of them can properly strategize for the month when you're halfway into the month. So, most dealers close out the first week, waiting for those results to then plan or dictate your marketing plan for that month. I encourage you to change that process because it is putting you far, far behind.
Eric, you just struck a nerve because I just got a ton of people writing in expletive-laced comments basically saying, fire that marketing manager.
Yeah. And what's funny is, the dealerships that we work with, some of them have 40 salespeople, and they have a marketing team, and and some of them have 6 salespeople, and they don't have a marketing person at all, or a middleman. So we've kind of built different strategies on how to work with different sets from our clients. But one thing that is a common theme that we see is that whether it's 6 people or it's 60 people we're working with, communication levels are vital to the success of the marketing. So to not be able to train your team on what's coming up or to be able to properly work on your weaknesses from a quarterly or even an annual perspective with a plan really puts you behind the competition. So it is not just one dealership I'm talking about. This just happens to be the latest reference on the call that I had last week that I thought was kind of a funny comment for a guy who manages well over $3 million in advertising. So it was a month. It was kind of a crazy comment. But to continue, I'm going to give you guys some tips that basically are things you should just pay attention to on a small level that will help you get your advertising out and pre-plan accordingly for the year, and also help the messages to be completely understood by everybody who's a vital part of the organization, from the person who answers the phone to the person that's selling the cars to the person that's coming in and maybe helping host a sale, or the person that is dictating the marketing dollars being spent. So one of the tips that I have is to focus on nationally recognized holidays, campaigns, and seasonal things that consumers in the United States can align themselves with, that can understand that this is why this is a good time. It's something that I see and I want to pay attention to, and maybe this is the best time to buy at that dealership, and for this reason, because it is President's Day. So we played an example of a kind of a multi-channel marketing campaign that we're aligning a lot of our clients with for February, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Make sure that any channel that you're on has a promotional level that piggybacks the message you're putting out there. Even if you want to focus on the OEM campaigns and allow their broadcast dollars to back your message, just make sure you have complete creative alignment. What we saw in 2014, and this is a study that we took from an annual basis. It wasn't one client. It was well over 2,000 clients that we worked with in 2014. But by December, we pulled a lot of different data profiles and posted reports and analytics that we found online through Google Analytics from all of our clients. And what we noticed is that most of our clients had an upswing. The average across the board was about 14% of our clients, or 14% upswing year-over-year sales increase. Well, that was based off of using 3 to 4 mediums. But when we had clients that were engaged and they were actually marketing through more than 6 or 7 different channels, their average increase in sales year-over-year was upwards of 24%. That's 10% more than the clients that were just focused on a few different mediums, maybe because it was just easier to get that marketing plan out quicker, or because they were working with one vendor that's all they could basically do for them. So what we ended up finding out was that the raise in sales was completely aligned with the amount of mediums that they were marketing through. So that's a tip that I want to give people is make sure that your message is creatively aligned and not only a few different traditional mediums or even only in digital marketing. Don't put all your eggs in one basket per se, but focus on all the marketing channels that would make sense for your dealership, your franchise in your market. And if you currently have a marketing provider that can't tell you what that strategy looks like or what that medium set looks like, then you may need to start looking for another marketing company. One of the things that I saw was a tremendous increase in 2014 for our clients, where the clients that not only took a reactive approach to consumers walking in or submitting leads via online and focusing on those closing percentages, but the clients that put together an outbound proactive effort in the dealership. It is the best investment that you can make as a dealer is to take your marketing to another level by making sure that there's a face to the program as well. And one of the ways to do that, and a very efficient way to do that, is by either utilizing an off-site BDC, hiring a company to make these calls for you, or internalizing a BDC process where customers are being reached out based off of where they're at in the trade cycle or the service cycle with a message that's specific to them at their current propensity to buy or service. And that's kind of aligned, that theory is kind of aligned with programmatic advertising that's done through an automated digital online perspective. We want to add the human element of it back into the mix as well and make sure those customers get their offer validated by someone calling them and letting them know it's time to service their vehicle or they have $30,000 positive equity. We want to make sure that those customers know as well. CRMs. I go to NADA and I'm going to be there the 22nd, and every year, the biggest booths are the CRM booths. So they're obviously doing something right. And one of the things that I find out from a lot of my clients when I actually work with them is that there are no internalized email marketing efforts that can be done based off where consumers are at the trade cycle through a platform that they're paying upwards of $5,000 a month to use. It makes zero sense to me. If you spend that much, make sure you're using every single resource within that platform. So CRM, really evaluate your CRM provider, and we don't sell CRM services, so this is coming out of good faith. But really evaluate your CRM provider and make sure that you're using every single product that they have for as much as you're spending. And then obviously I want to end it with social engagement. One of the things Eliana mentioned throughout the presentation is make sure you're tweeting and here's the hashtag and visit us on Instagram and that's awesome. And that is what life has become and communication has become. And it baffles me that today there are still dealers out there who haven't realized that that's the direction of marketing and that's the direction of communication. You have all these videos being posted on YouTube and all these videos being pushed through with millions of views, viral videos talking about, lift your head, look up, stop paying attention to your phone. There's people out here. There's face-to-face communication that's taking place. But you know what? The percentages are still aligned with people looking at their phones and their tablets. So let's make sure we're there too with relevant messages. So social engagement is huge in 2015. I encourage you to make sure that you audit your social engagement process. And if it's not where it needs to be and you don't have enough fans or likes or followers, that you start aligning yourself with good companies out there that can provide you a strategy to increasing that social engagement. I talked about this earlier. I talked about it in the middle of the presentation. I'm going to talk about it at the end because I cannot stress enough as a marketing provider who works with over 2,000 dealerships a year how important it is to plan early, to make sure that your marketing, whether it be your digital marketing, whether it be your direct mail, your email, even your television, radio, whatever it is, that message is in homes, in consumers' hands, or on their laptops or on their mobile phones by the beginning of the month, as opposed to trying to back-end everything when you already organically are going to get traffic from consumers because consumer perception is the best time to buy at the end of the month. So you really have nothing to lose by starting your advertising early. Okay? And in order to do this, you would really need to finalize your February plans by right about now, the middle of January. That allows all your vendors, in some scenarios I saw as high as 10+ vendors that you're working with, to align their strategies and make sure that everything's off and running by the first day or first business day of the next month. And the real reason that I'm mentioning this, and it's not just a preference of mine, and it's not any type of self-affiliated, thing that I'm trying to do here, it's basically saying, I see the best results when my clients start their marketing on the 2nd as opposed to the 22nd or the 23rd. Every single client, same franchises, similar sized markets, metropolitan versus rural, it doesn't matter. The results are better when you start earlier. You have nothing to lose. In fact, every single dealership on the phone or marketing manager on the phone would like to report on the 15th of the month that they're outpacing their objective by 120%. Okay, but no one wants to say, I'm only really pacing my objective 70%. Hopefully the back end takes care of it. We know you're going to get more traffic the last week. So start early. Get your marketing in homes early. Get a fast start now. Okay, and then hopefully you're outpacing your objective. And then the consumers that got your messages in the first week, even if they don't respond right away, they still got your messages before the competition. So one of the things that I want to end with, and I talked about it earlier, are limiting your vendors, get better creative alignment, get better ROI, get more consistency in the value propositions, the messages you're sending out. Plan ahead for 2015 now. Make sure that every single month you have something in plan, even if it's tweaked. Put a basic foundation, a blueprint in place, okay? And creatively align that blueprint and make sure your whole staff knows what's going on. And again, company empowerment, staff empowerment. Make sure from every lead that's coming in, there's some kind of process on how to dictate how that lead is funneled to a conversion or sale. And I really wanted to end with that, and I'm doing this for the sake of time, that the takeaways from this, from the audience, to really be pre-roll video, programmatic ad spend needs to be a very big part of your marketing plan in 2015. Developing a strong SEO campaign now will inevitably lead to lower cost per lead later and increased ROIs. Making sure all your marketing vendors have 100% reporting transparency and that you're limiting your marketing partners. Pre-planning now for 2015 for key, a major key to success. Laying down the blueprint before you build the house. And then partnering with an agency maybe that can handle all these capabilities for you and provide you centralized reporting, as Nick mentioned, should be a key component of what you're looking for in 2015. That all being said, I believe that we have an attendee offer just for attending. If you decide to visit us, and you can email info@forcemktg to take advantage of this offer, you can get a free responsive email campaign to your DMS, where we're going to take your DMS, refresh, address it, clean it, design the ad for you, and launch it, and then we'll show you back the reporting. You get a free custom audience Facebook campaign. The value is about $1,000 there. We're, again, going to design the ad. We're going to pick the audience, and then we're going to deploy it for you. And more importantly, and something that we're also offering at NADA, is a free analysis of your current SEM budget. Okay? Most marketing companies that provide SEM services would charge for this. We're going to do this completely free. So if these are things that you may be interested in getting, feel free to email us at info@forcemktg to take advantage of this offer. And I'm going to turn it back over to Eliana so she can...
Wait a minute. I just want to make sure everyone understands. This is for everyone that's on the broadcast now, correct?
Yes.
Everyone.
Yes. Everyone.
Peoples, if all of you aren't writing an email right this very moment, I don't know what you're doing. I would definitely take at least one of these offers, if not all three, if you have it in your power to do so. Thank you so much. That's so generous of you guys. And not just that, we still have another prize to give away. So you guys are already all winners. But we are going to get to our prize giveaway right now. So if you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, I announced that our good friends at Force Marketing giving away a great prize on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a Windows tablet. Great prize for your dealership or to to use on your showroom floor, or even just use for yourself. This prize is valued at $300. So get ready and get to your keyboards. First person to write in the correct response is going to be winning this awesome prize today. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. Of course, we want to ask that any vendors that are on this presentation right now, please sit this one out. This prize is intended for dealership personnel only. We thank you for that. The answer is not 42. Nice try, Carl. Okay, this question's not the easiest question. You had to really be listening for this one. So good luck, everyone. And like I said before, if you don't get it, hey, feel free to guess, but here we go. Good luck. What Google metric should dealers use to find uncapitalized money in their current search marketing spend? What Google metric should dealers use to find uncapitalized money in their current search marketing spend? Ooh, we have a winner. And it is not, I have to say, the first, I don't know, 6 or 7 people who wrote in did not write in the correct answer. But we did finally get a winner, and boy, oh boy, I have not seen this name come across my screen in a while, and here he is. Chris Franklin, you are our winner. You are the first one to write in quality score. Congratulations, Chris Franklin. I should remember what dealership you're from, and yet I don't. I'm terrible at it. Thank you, everyone, for playing along. We do appreciate it. And Chris, oh, you're at Porter Auto Group now. Congratulations, Chris. Where is that? Is that still in Pennsylvania? You're in Pennsylvania, right? I'm going to write this down. All right. Oh, it's in Delaware. Bravo. Congratulations, Chris. So glad to see your name come across my screen again. And audience, thank you so much for playing along. We hope you had fun. But you know what? Like Eric said just a moment ago, you guys are already all winners. I hope you'll contact Force Marketing at, is it info@forcemktg.com?
Yes, Eliana. info@forcemktg.com.
Yes, to take advantage of any one of those, just mention that you are on the Dealer On webinar and that you'd like to take advantage of all the giveaways. All right? All right, here we go. Thank you, everyone, for playing along. Congratulations to Chris Franklin at Porter Auto Group in Delaware. And, of course, we want to thank our good friends at Force Marketing for their incredible generosity. All right, audience, if you're ready for some questions, well, we're ready for you, too. We are going to get started right now. Okay, your first question, I think this is one would be great for you, Eric. Your first question comes from Carl. Carl says, the programmatic advertising stats, these are nice, but what does it do to increase conversions? And how do you define a valuable click? Great question, Carl. Eric, you ready to take this one?
I'm actually going to allow Nick to take this one.
Oh, all right, my bad, sorry.
One of the things we do really well here at Force is make sure that we utilize our best strengths. So I'll let Nick answer this in detail for you.
All right.
Absolutely. So one of the keys with programmatic is we actually break this kind of into 3 months. So you've got a tremendous landscape. If you think some of the stats from YouTube said, the last one I saw was about 20 hours are uploaded. It's either every second or every minute. Either way, that's a massive amount. So if you look at just the video landscape, considering all of that new content is coming out, the question is, how do I direct a good marketing mix towards that? So another way of, that I've heard is 50% of my marketing is working really well, but I don't know what half is working. So with programmatic, we can almost immediately eliminate the half that's not working, and the longer you run it, the better it becomes. So when you're looking at measuring a valuable visit, we look at a variety of factors. the most important is we kind of separate it out into 5 different goals. One would be how many vehicle detail pages are they viewing. Another would be how many hours and directions. How many are printing a special, and then obviously how many are submitting a lead or call. And then the final metric, obviously that was 4, we also looked at bounce rate. So bounce rate means they came to the site and immediately left. Because you're reaching such a wide variety of sites with programmatic, programmatic reaches everything and then uses an algorithm to bid more intelligently the more it learns based off those 5 key activities in our unique situation. So that's kind of how we look at that, and we use the absolute best company out there in terms of a partner to develop a unique and proprietary algorithm for each client. And what makes that unique, of course, is that learning system behind it based off those 5 key performance factors that represent a valuable visitor in that instance.
Love that.
Did that answer the question?
I think so. Carl did write in, he said, is it possible to go back to that slide?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So go back to the UTM one.
And Carl did have a follow-up question. He says, can you give specific and measurable examples of relevant content?
Yes. Sorry, we're going back to the slide, number 28.
Okay. There.
So the question was, can you give specific examples of relevant content? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. So the way that we look at that first is, I'm going to relate this back to search engine marketing and search engine optimization. Any search engine marketing company can give you a list of your current keywords that they're bidding on and the relevant quality score behind that. So the way that we sort that is we just take that in Excel and we filter the highest clicked keywords with the lowest quality scores. And then we would build content around whatever models or items that relates to. So while that's a fairly complex process, the simplest way of looking at that is saying if Ford Fusion has the most traffic but lowest quality score, that means that's costing me the most money, and therefore that's the most valuable content that I can generate.
Carl, if you have a follow-up question, I would love to hear it. But hopefully Nick was able to answer everything for you. And Carl, for you and anyone else out there who maybe wants a copy of this slide deck, email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com, and I'll send it out to you later today as soon as I can, okay? By the way, Nick, Carl wrote back and he says, great, that helps. Thank you so much. He says, do you put that content on a blog, VDP?
Yes. So you would typically build a unique landing page. Because it's related around a specific model, the best way you can do that is show why a person would want to purchase that from you. So that would include your inventory. That would include unique content that makes a compelling case to buy that vehicle. And then ultimately would also, if you're planning on sharing it socially, then you would do more of a blog. So it really depends on your goal. But in terms of what we're talking about, of saving money and driving additional traffic and qualified activities, you would build a custom landing page around that content. And that's really, really important. We've shown some pretty strong results around that. And then in response to follow up on the question you had before, under all goals on this slide, on the top right, those are some of the factors there. So you can set that up uniquely through Google Analytics. It doesn't cost anything. But that would be how we would measure valuable visits, sessions, et cetera. All of these metrics are factors within that.
Carl says, unique landing page, rock on. That certainly helps. Thank you so much. We do have a question that came in from Phil. He says, could you please show the year event slide again? He seemed to like what you had there. Okay, while
Phil,
he's...
I hope you're not one of our competitors.
I don't think he is. While he's doing that, let's go to this next question from Mary. Mary says, could programmatic advertising be compared to PPC? Eric? Or Nick, whichever.
Yeah, so programmatic in some ways could be, but generally speaking it applies more to display, retargeting, and video. And the reason for that is programmatic most often works for a very complex space. And with paid search, there are a lot of companies that do, it's kind of programmatic. There's Kenshu, there's Marin. Some of our competitors have built some proprietary ones that ultimately adapt to the auction-based system that paid search runs on. But programmatic itself takes into account many more factors typically, such as it could be something as abstract as weather, something as distinct as where the ad is shown, and then other sites, the combination of sites that people go to. So programmatic more applies on an almost person-by-person basis. It learns over time based off the person, then the groups of people, then their types of behavior, then external factors like weather, where the ad was served, and what activities they're taking on your site. Whereas paid search would be, while it is algorithmically driven, it's more based off what are your competitors bidding, what keywords do you want to show up for, and then what are they doing on your website. So while they're similar, there is a slight difference. Programmatic, hopefully I didn't go too far in depth on the tech side there. Programmatic is more display retargeting pre-roll, and then there are systems that do bid management on search, but those aren't typically called programmatic.
Well, while we're doing, thank you, Mary, for the great question. Oh, she says, makes much more sense now. Thanks. While we're doing definitions, we had another question that came in from Amy. She says, what is the difference between Google channel sales and PSP?
Sure, so I'll take that one as well. So these are actually the same team. So it's the same team of people at Google in terms of support, resources, and infrastructure, but there's a key differentiator here. The PSP program offers a really great opportunity that encourages very high growth and also means that there's a percentage that's provided in terms of incentivization with a company, with a partner within that. Channel sales gets similar allocations but doesn't get that as a direct incentive back to them. They instead typically would allocate that towards specific pilot programs, specific case studies, specific areas. So really, the reason that we're looking at channel sales, which is where Force is because we really believe that there's a great opportunity to drive innovation, and felt that instead of kind of being required to go into specific increases to budget, we wanted to put that towards increases to innovation, new ways to bring in multi-channel experiences, whether that's pre-roll, display, retargeting, search, and just bring those together. So it's an incentivization to really drive better performance. But they are the same team of people at the end of the day.
Thank you so much, Amy. I hope that answers your question. We got about another handful of questions over here to get through, and then we'll be closing down the webinar. So hopefully everyone can hang out just for these last few questions. Your next question, ooh, this is, boy, talk about putting somebody on the spot. All right, this question comes from Eli. He says, what percentage of my budget should I spend on multi-channel marketing? Who wants to take that one? Eric, maybe?
I'll take that. I'll take that one.
Okay.
That's a moving number. I mean, it's completely based off of the dealership itself, the current marketing budget, what their sales objectives are, and that's all something that we try to identify with our new clients or prospects. With some upfront consultation questions that can help us with that. So there's no real exact percentage. There's no perfect answer for that question. It's really dealer by dealer, budget by budget, and a lot of it has to do with what their sales and service objectives are as well. And then we can kind of back into that number of what your spend should be or the percentage of your budget. But what I can tell you is this. There is a complete transition from traditional mediums and the amount of dollars spent into new age mediums like digital marketing, programmatic video, SEM, SEO, and direct marketing. And I would veer to say that more, if not half, at least half of your budget should be on hyper-targeted marketing channels. So channels that you can focus on where a consumer is at in the trade cycle or service cycle. You know their name, you know their address, you know what kind of car they currently own, in some circumstances the value of their current car, and you can feed them and serve them up ads according to what they're shopping. Those are channels that you're focusing on hitting, again, the right customers with the right message at the right time. So if you're interested in finding out an exact percentage, I'd have to ask you some very, very, very good questions up front, and we can give you back an exact percentage based off of your exact situation, Eli.
Thank you so much for that. By the way, Eric, can you click on slide number 45 so people can get your contact information while we're doing all this Q&A? Perfect, perfect. All right. Thank you, Eli. Great question. Your next question, gentlemen, comes to you from Matt. He says, we look at Google Analytics, but have not heard of Google Urchin Traffic Monitor. Is there a difference? Is this something we need to ask our providers to share?
So that's a great question. It actually has to do with your digital marketing providers. So when somebody comes to your homepage, it might be like nicksfordstore.com/index.htm. And sometimes you'll see a question mark after that with a bunch of other things. If you click on almost any paid search ad, after that page name or URL, you're going to see a question mark and then a bunch of other information. UTMs, you can go to, if you Google this, it's Google URL Builder, and you can see an example of how to build that. We use the source as the name of the company, the medium as the type of advertising, such as pay-per-click, email, retargeting, and then the campaign is the unique campaign name. So if it's not in there right now, you may not be using a provider that's using that. But within Google Analytics, you can see that. If you'd like, I can follow up with you directly in terms of where that is. I believe, and I may be wrong offhand, I believe it's under behavior in all channels or under acquisition all channels in your current Google Analytics. I'll have to check on that, but it's definitely under one of those two, and you'll see that where there's a source/medium option. And you'll see that exactly the way it showed up there. But again, I can walk through this in person as well as a follow-up if you'd like.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thank you so much, Nick. Matt, I hope that answers your question. And we just have a few more questions to get to. Now, this is interesting. Two people actually asked the same question, so I'm going to read both of their questions and see which one of you guys want to address this. First, we have David. He says, having fewer vendors is a great idea if the client is getting the best products. Many times, the companies that try to do too much don't excel at too many things. Jen had the same sentiment. She says, you recommended using fewer vendors, but we've found that to be a problem. We've been using just 2 large providers who service many dealerships. The problem with that is that the one provider is making the same promises to me as well as our competitor across the street and the guy across town. The one of us spending the most money usually gets the best results. So how do you solve that problem? Eric, I think this one's for you. What do you have to say to people like David and Jen and others who have found that same problem?
Well, Nick's eyes lit up on this one, so I'm actually going to let him answer.
I'm on like my 3rd Monster Energy drink now. I'm ready to go, so I'm going to take that one if that's okay.
Okay.
So I'm going to tie this back. So that's a really great question because there's some really great large providers that really excel at doing this. They've got whole divisions. But the question that I think is really important, and I found this from the dealer side, is so you've got this great technology, you've got these really talented teams. How do you customize that for me? And one of the major topics that we've been talking about is programmatic. So programmatic works in a lot of different ways, but I think oftentimes it's grouped in with just technology. So you've got this technology that works for me, but does it really customize it? So the thing I love about programmatic is it actually develops a unique algorithm. And I can actually, for every client, we can show them an exact visualization of how we've customized their system over time, and that goes by month. So every additional layer we learn about their customers and their market, we can show a visualization of how we're optimizing for them specifically. Much of the other technology out there optimizes everyone. So while that's a good place to start, ultimately it doesn't take it quite far enough. So to your point, your question is, why should I use fewer if they're not really going to be more effective, knowing that they're also optimizing across everybody? And it's really an infrastructural question. It's, did they build their technology to customize for you, or did they build their technology to scale for them? And while it seems like a nuance, it's a really important one, and it's a critical question to ask. So to Eric's point of, centralize your vendors in one place, our starting point is putting everything in Google Analytics, and you can see it. We believe we'll perform better. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but you'll be able to see it right in there. But what you'll see over time is we'll show you exactly how we were optimizing your campaigns for those that we do control, and you'll be able to see the effectiveness and the difference there, and you should challenge your current providers to do the same. Show me how your platform has customized my campaigns for me. Show me how you're doing that through the technology you sold me that you said was the best in the industry. And don't only prove it through the results, but show exactly how you customized in there. And I'll tie that back, if I don't want to get too salesy here, but within any Google Analytics profile that we have, we actually list every time a human touched the campaign and exactly how many times the technology did, and then the visualization of how that technology worked. So we always want to be completely transparent, because the fact that you got 2 questions is great, because that's one of those omnipresent questions is, first of all, did you do it, or did you sell me technology where nobody ever looked at my account again? And then secondly, what did you do? On both sides, the technology and the person. How did you understand my business, my unique propositions, my unique market to execute my marketing to its highest value?
Yeah, thank you so much, David and Jen. I think you both asked the same question that a lot of other people were thinking. So thank you so much. Oh, Jen wrote in, those questions are some good ones too. Will do. Thank you very much. All right, Jen, good luck to both of you. We have another situation that came up where 2 people, again, wrote in basically the same question. Let's get to them. Chip wrote in, how do you start your marketing month early when the manufacturer doesn't send out programs until the 5th or the 6th of the month? Should you just do something generic? Heidi said the same thing, basically. She says most incentives do not come out until the 2nd or 3rd of the month. So how do you suggest we plan marketing when we don't have the offers yet? All right, which one of you guys is going to take this one? How are we going to help Chip and Heidi? Because this is obviously a more common problem than...
I think this is a combined effort. So this is Nick. I'm going to take the first step, which is kind of the digital data that we have. There's one really simple answer here, and that's Google Trends. It's something that is free. It's a Google tool you can see. Find out what people are going to look for in your market, or challenge your digital marketing providers to do the same, or marketing in general. Some of the data that we showed was about when the current model year interest exceeds the upcoming year. So that was something we pulled for free off of Google Trends. Obviously, we had local interests for some of that, but overall, this you know where consumer behavior is if that behavior remains constant from the previous month and the previous year. So take that into account. I would say that's a great place to start, and then I'll pass off to Eric for the rest.
And utilizing those same trends, you can use some hyper-targeted marketing methods just based off of information that you have within an arm's length, your DMS, your CRM, customers that have actually been in your dealership or have somehow shopped you, and really hyper-target based off of their current position in their trade cycle, which whether they got a message today or they got a message a month from now can make a vital difference in their decision to buy a car or service a car from you. So in some scenarios, and you know, dealers would like to wait for incentives at all given times and say, you know, I can get my incentives on the 4th, I can get to my agency on the 5th. Well, guess what? Now you're really not getting it home until the 10th or targeting consumers until the 11th. You need to almost have a constant message out there, whether you can take the top trends and top search habits of consumers in your market with those providers of data, IHS Polk, Dadium, Google Trends, and then customize your message to focus on those trends, to focus on the fact that that's what your market's searching for. I want to market that, and I want to get that message out early. And then if you want to realign your incentives towards the back end of the month with the back end of your marketing mediums, you can do that once you do have those incentives. But you definitely need to get mediums in homes as quickly as possible, and you definitely need to have an ongoing promotional efforts through your digital marketing platform, and that's what we pride ourselves on, is constant marketing.
Well, thank you so much, Chip and Heidi. Great question. All right, last question. I got to say, it's a doozy, so I hope you guys can handle this, because personally, when I read this question, I thought we could probably do an entire webinar on this. So let's see if we can get to this last question as quickly as possible. Let these nice people go. The question comes from Dave. He says, what can I do to increase leads for fixed ops with my digital marketing? Oh, fixed ops is huge, and dealers, I feel, are just now getting into really putting some effort into their fixed ops, because they've realized maybe that there's a lot of profit in that, a ton of profit in it. So how can we help Dave and other dealers like him? Who wants to take this? Nick?
Sure, I'll take that one. So I think that I'm confident there's a lot of different ways. I think, to Eric's point, starting with your own data is a great place to begin. There's also a great opportunity to look at what your current campaigns are doing. So one of those areas that we had discussed a little bit earlier in this webinar was taking a look and tracking every paid search keyword and finding out what's driving sales and service revenue by tying your paid search together with your DMS. So bringing those two things together is a really important thing. I would also encourage you to look for somebody that specializes in that. Maybe Google fixed operations digital advertising, fixed operations digital advertising providers, see who's paying attention, see who's focused there. And then in the interest of, kind of transparency, I would say that this is one of Google's top initiatives right now. So you're going to see a massive push here, but make sure that you're partnered with somebody that really understands that brakes, batteries, fluids, tires are going to be the 4 core elements, and then can tie your operational goals into that, and also align the rest of your digital marketing strategy in order to capitalize not only on gaining new opportunities, but also within the more limited budget on fixed ops, driving the most profitable customers back to you, and ensuring that your whole marketing mix is tied towards driving the highest return on your ad spend.
Wow, thank you so much. And I mean, we could do an entire webinar on that. You know that, right, Nick?
Yeah.
I know we could. Well, Eric Mercado and Nick Sabella, thank you so much. This was very, very eye-opening webinar presentation. I can't thank you enough. That was phenomenal. I really want to thank you guys for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Okay, so any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted, they're going to be answered by email directly later today. I want to remind the audience a link to download a copy of this webinar recording is also going to be emailed to you later for your reference. Hey, share it with your friends and colleagues. Go ahead, go wild. And today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. All you have to do is go to dealeron.com/webinars, and there you can view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too. Hey, so we're going to close out this webinar in just another minute, and when we do, you're going to receive a short survey. I want to know what you thought of Eric and Nick's presentation. How do you think they did? Well, the only way to let us know is through this survey, so please fill it out. We're always looking for your feedback. And today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. I really hope we get to hear from you. And I want to let you know Dealeron's going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming NADA convention in San Francisco later this month. So if you're going to be there, please stop by our booth. That is booth 5552W, 5552 West, and say hi. Hey, Eric, what happened? Go to the next slide. We have a great booth. We'd love to see you and talk to you while you're getting your NADA on. Yeah, we have not one, not two, but 4 presenters at NADA. We hope you'll join some of those speaking sessions from these Dealeron executives. And not to be outdone, our friends at Force Marketing are also going to be there exhibiting at NADA. They have a tremendous booth. You are not going to want to miss that. Get there and get a complete multi-channel marketing analysis for free. They're right around the corner from our booth. We're at 5552W. They are at 5428W. It's going to be a great time. I hope you can make it out there, and we look forward to seeing you all there. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. It's a good one, too. How to get more ROs and sales than ever before from your service drive. That's right. Fact. Your service drive is a hot mess of opportunity for more ROs and sales, and on average, over 50% of your service traffic didn't buy their vehicle from you. That means your sales department has a 50-50 chance to make an equity sale or a conquest sale from your service drive, but only if you have the right tools and training to get those sales. Would you like to get more ROs and sales than ever before from your service drive? Of course you would. Tammy LeBlue is going to be here to show you how to do it. Who's Tammy LeBlue? Oh, yeah. Well, she is one of the most dynamic women in the automotive industry with an unequaled track record in retail, and she's going to share the secrets of her successes in a way that you can take back to your dealership and use immediately. Attendees will also get a comprehensive lesson about customer retention through engagement as well. Engaging your customers with email and online coupons and programs will drive more traffic to your service department, and that means more ROs and more moolah out of your service drive. So if you're finally ready to find out how to get more ROs and sales than ever before from your service drive, well, then this is one webinar you just can't afford to miss. So don't forget, Dealeron's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you. So track me down online. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and I'm on all the automotive social networks. You can also email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in DealerOn's continuing education series. Take care and have yourselves a good one.